Now, back in June, we mentioned that our Assistant Minister, Tony, and Yenli and their family are finishing up as our Assistant Ministers at the end of this year because they're going to become CMS Missionaries in training. And I wanted to take an extended time this morning to talk about what's that going to look like, what does that mean, and how can we be praying for them as they head towards the end of the year when they finish up with us as well. So it's great to have you guys up on the stage. What does it mean to be a CMS missionary in training?
Yeah, so that means not yet missionaries with CMS. So we'll be moving down to Melbourne early next year to complete a cross-cultural training at St. Andrew's Hall for 6 months. And then we'll be back to Sydney in the second half of the year next year to invite individuals and churches to partner with us through prayers and financial support, because we can't do this mission work ourselves, Andrew. We need a big part of Family of Christ to work on this mission together.
So down to Melbourne for the first 6 months, but back up in Sydney?
That's right.
Raising support ahead of leaving. Do you have a sense of where God is leading you to go on mission?
Yeah, so we're aiming to serve in, well, if anyone can guess where this photo is from?
Toy Store?
Yes, Toys R Us. Well, it's, any other guess? Yes, that's right. Yes, so we're aiming to serve in Japan. So we're not sure yet which city or what roles and opportunities. So at the moment, we're still in conversation with CMS as to where that is and what that will be. But we're praying and hoping that it'll be a long-term missionary work. So we're hoping that it'll be at least 10 years of ministry work overseas.
And why Japan?
So, yeah, we've been to Japan a few times since getting married. And I think every time we've gone back, we are convicted more and more and seeing the gospel need there. And we're just, God has grown conviction and our love for people in Japan, and also convicted that there is great need of gospel workers over there.
And let me give you a few stats to show you the great gospel needs in Japan. So Japan is one of the most unreached people groups in the world. What this means is that about 98% of people are unreached, have not heard the name of Jesus whatsoever. So this means that there's over 120 million people who don't know who Jesus is, who don't know what it means to be his friend. And for many people, they'll go through their whole lives without ever even meeting a Christian. And so such is the great need over there. Now, in terms of church, about 0.5% are evangelical churches, Bible-believing Christians, and the number of churches is declining, and a part of that is to do with the declining birth rate, and as people get older, and so there are great needs there. I think one of the verses that has been helpful for us as we've considered where we could be serving is from Romans 10. And so Cameron read from us earlier this morning, but I thought I'd read Romans 10, 13 to 15. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. And so for us, we thought, well, why not us? Why not our family? And so over many years of prayer, conversation with family, friends, with CMS, we made the decision to apply and to go with CMS, and they've accepted us as missionaries in training. Now, as we head overseas, we don't expect to be radically transforming Japan. That's a lot of people to reach. But we recognize that every person is precious to God, and he wants all people to be saved. And so if there are a few people there that we can share the gospel with in the hopes that they would become part of God's family, then that's a soul saved and a party in heaven. And so one person at a time is what God would have us do. I don't think we can transform all of Japan by ourselves.
Unless God is behind it somehow. There we are. So what sort of ministry are you hoping to do over in Japan?
Yeah, so as Yenli mentioned, CMS is still working out where the potential ministry opportunities are. There are a lot of missionaries over there, a lot of partnering churches and organisations. Part of it is figuring out where the best fit is, the timing, and all of that. But I guess regardless of where we end up, there are certain things that we'd like to be involved in. And so I think just recognizing the need for evangelism, for sharing the good news with people. And I guess because there are so few Christians in Japan, just being a presence, living in amongst the community, being with the neighbours, and just showing people what it means to live differently to the world, to follow Jesus, is a big part of that. And so just living in community, being that example and looking for those opportunities. Also recognising that in Japan, on average, it takes 7 years for someone to first hear about Jesus to becoming a Christian, which is an extraordinarily long time. Hence, kind of why CMS has a long-term outlook for missionary work. And a part of it is, for Japanese people, there's a strong sense of loss of identity and not conforming, which makes it a big thing for them, which is why it takes 7 years.
Yeah, and we're hoping to be involved in families ministry. So the average numbers in churches in Japan is that there is about 35 members, so it's quite small. And so we're hoping to be part of a church where we can maybe start a playgroup or build connections with the local communities, support Christian parents and also young people so that the local churches can grow.
Because Japan is an aging population, churches themselves also reflect this. So 90% of pastors are over the age of 50. And 47% of pastors are over the age of 70. So half of the pastors in Japan are past retirement age, yet they continue to serve faithfully. And so
Nothing wrong with 50-year-old pastors, by the way.
So I think, just recognising that, there is a great need. And so how can we be part of training up, building up the next generation of leaders, encouraging them into ministry, and then being able to help pastors and church leaders to keep growing their ministries, to keep trusting God in the midst of the difficulties, and to be able to help them to equip the saints to do the work of ministry. Because the local Christians will have a much better opportunity to reach the Japanese than we will. But if we can be training and equipping Christians to do the work of ministry, that would be one of the things we'd like to be doing.
And we're hoping to do discipleship as well. So a missionary friend of ours worked with Christians in universities in Japan, and she tells us how there might only be one Christian in a campus of 30,000 people, if there's any Christian at all. So that's pretty hard when you don't have the constant encouragements to be different to people around you. And so, we're hoping to be able to read the Bible with young people and encourage them in their faith so that they can stand firm and also grow in their faith.
It's an incredible opportunity, incredible work, and we need to be praying not only now but through next year as God opens doors and gives you insight as to where you're going to be heading. You've been with us for almost 2 years, and obviously this isn't the goodbye. It's going to be in sort of mid-January when we'll say goodbye, but we're entering that last season. We've seen the way that God has grown and shaped you both as ministers of the gospel. We're definitely going to miss you.
Yeah, look, it's been a great joy to serve with the saints here at St Anne's. We've definitely grown as Christians, as ministers of the gospel, and grown in our love for the people here in our church family, as well as our community. It's not just pit stop. It's not just something that we're doing to gain ministry experience, but it is ministry. We are loving and caring for the people that God has entrusted in our care in the season that we're in. And so. It's something that we've appreciated, just kind of the meaningful connections that we've made, the deep love that we've received, and we'll greatly miss it.
Yeah, we have loved our times here, and we were genuinely conflicted to go ahead with our application with CMS because how much love and joy that we had.
I tried my best to keep you here, but
That's right, yes. And then we flipped the coin and decided that way. But we've just had a lot of joy serving alongside you and being part of this church. But we look forward to continue to partner in the gospel in different contexts, hopefully through mission work. Yeah.
Wonderful. So this isn't obviously goodbye today, and so we've got now the next 3 months to be able to keep talking with Tony and Yenli and their family about the plans that they have going forward. But God willing, the plans that we have in place will be the plans as we head forward into the new year. Thanks so much for telling us about things today.
Thank you.